It was a quiet October evening when the rock world suddenly dimmed. Paul Daniel Ace Frehley, the original lead guitarist and co-founder of the legendary band Kiss, was gone. At 74 years old, the man known to millions as Space Ace passed away after complications from a fall in his home studio just weeks earlier. The news broke gently but hit hard. For fans across generations, it felt like the end of an era, as though one of the last lights of rock's golden age had flickered out. His family released a statement that felt both heartbreaking and beautiful. They said, "We are completely devastated and heartbroken. In his last moments, we were fortunate enough to have been able to surround him with love, with peace, and with words and prayers that guided him from this world. We cherish all of his finest memories, his laughter, and celebrate his strengths and kindness. The magnitude of his passing is beyond comprehension. Ace's memory will live on forever." Soon after, tributes came pouring in from around the world, from fellow musicians, from the Kiss Army, and from his old bandmates themselves. Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons wrote, "We are devastated by the passing of Ace Frehley. He was an essential and irreplaceable rock soldier during some of the most formative chapters of Kiss. He will always be a part of our legacy." To understand why this loss hit so deeply, we have to look back, way back, to where it all began. Paul Daniel Frehley was born on April 27, 1951 in the Bronx, New York. His family was musical. His father played piano, and music filled the home. On Christmas morning in 1964, a teenage Ace unwrapped an electric guitar. It was love at first sight. He never took a formal lesson. He simply listened, watched, and taught himself. He absorbed the sounds of Hendrix, Buddy Guy, Jeff Beck, The Who, Led Zeppelin, and the Rolling Stones. These were not just influences. They were sparks that ignited his imagination. He started playing in local bands almost immediately, performing in small clubs and basements around the Bronx. His charisma and playful energy made him a natural performer. Friends nicknamed him Ace because he always seemed to have an ace up his sleeve when it came to meeting girls or saving the night. After dropping out of high school to focus on music, Frehley worked odd jobs to survive, driving a taxi, delivering liquor orders, working as a messenger, anything that would keep his dream alive. But the guitar was always the center of his world. By 1971, he joined a band called Molimo, which recorded several songs for RCA Records, though none were ever officially released. Still, the experience gave him a taste of the professional music world. It was during this time that fate and a small ad in the Village Voice changed everything. In late 1972, Ace spotted an advertisement looking for a lead guitarist for a new band forming in New York. He showed up to the audition wearing one red sneaker and one orange one, a spontaneous choice that perfectly captured his quirky personality. Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, and Peter Criss were already there. At first, they were unsure what to make of him. Quiet, oddly dressed, a bit of a loner. But then he plugged in his guitar. The sound that came out was explosive, raw, unfiltered, alive. That moment sealed his place in rock history. Within weeks, Ace Frehley became the final missing piece of what would become Kiss. In January 1973, the band officially took the name Kiss. Inspired by the New York Dolls' glam flair and Alice Cooper's dark theatrics, they decided to do something no one else was doing: wear makeup, create alter egos, and turn every show into an event. Paul Stanley became the star child, Gene Simmons the demon, Peter Criss the Catman, and Ace Frehley the Spaceman. The band's early days weren't easy. Critics mocked them. The music press wrote them off as a gimmick. And while the band members struggled to pay rent,
Ace kept driving taxis to make ends meet, but when they played live, everything changed. The smoke, the explosions, the fire breathing, it wasn't just music, it was a theater, it was a fantasy, it was larger than life. And Ace's blazing guitar solos gave it soul. By 1975, Kiss had become a phenomenon. Their live album, Alive, captured the electricity of their concerts and made them superstars. Ace's lead guitar became the sonic identity of Kiss, bright, melodic, and unmistakably his. He wrote and sang fan favorites like Shock Me, which he performed after being literally electrocuted on stage during a concert earlier that year. Instead of retreating, he turned that moment into art. That was Ace, turning chaos into music. In 1978, Kiss made one of the boldest moves in rock history. Each member released a solo album on the same day. Critics and fans agreed Ace's album was the standout. His cover of New York Groove became a hit single, reintroducing him as a solo artist capable of standing entirely on his own. For many, that song, with its swaggering beat and streetwise lyrics, was Ace Frehley, the Bronx kid who made good, walking tall through the city he loved. But behind the success, tensions began to rise within the band. Fame, pressure, and clashing personalities started to fracture the group. By 1982, Ace had had enough. He left Kiss to go solo, and though it was a painful decision, it also marked the start of a new creative chapter. He formed his own band, Frehley's Comet, and released several albums throughout the 1980s. Songs like Rock Soldiers and Into the Night showed that he still had his signature fire. His sound had evolved, but his attitude never changed. Even as musical trends shifted from glam to punk to grunge, Ace remained true to what he loved most: guitar-driven rock and roll. He influenced countless musicians, from Slash to Dave Grohl, who credited him for inspiring their first steps towards music. Then, in 1996, after years apart, the impossible happened. Kiss, the original lineup, reunited. The band put the makeup back on, dusted off the boots, and launched one of the biggest reunion tours in rock history. For fans, it was pure nostalgia. For the band, it was redemption. Seeing the four original members together again, Stanley, Simmons, Chris, and Frehley, was like watching superheroes return for one last mission. Ace stayed with the band until 2002, then went back to his solo career, releasing albums like Anomaly in 2009 and Spaceman in 2018. Even into his 70s, he continued to record, perform, and make appearances, never losing that mischievous grin or that laid-back Bronx humor fans adored. Then, in September 2025, tragedy struck. While at his home studio, Ace suffered a fall, twice according to reports, and was hospitalized with serious injuries. He canceled his tour dates, assuring fans he just needed time to recover. But as the weeks passed, his condition worsened. The fall had caused a brain bleed. Doctors placed him on life support, and his family gathered by his side. On October 16, 2025, in Morristown, New Jersey, Paul Daniel Ace Frehley passed away peacefully, surrounded by love. He became the first member of Kiss's original lineup to die, a moment that stunned the music world. When the news broke, tributes flooded social media. Guitarists, producers, fans, even critics who once dismissed Kiss all paid their respects. For many, it wasn't just about the band. It was about what Ace represented, the dreamer from the Bronx who turned noise into stardom, who showed that music could be both fun and fearless. Rock magazines around the world featured his signature silver face paint, that iconic star-eyed mask, on their covers one last time. Concerts paused mid-show to honor him. Old footage of Kiss performances lit up screens as fans sang along, Tears in their eyes, smiles on their faces. Because that was Ace's magic. He didn't just play for you, he played with you. His joy, his humor, his cosmic weirdness, it was infectious. You couldn't watch him without smiling. In the end, his story feels almost mythic. A kid from the Bronx who built a rocket ship out of guitar strings and soared straight into the stars. His riffs will echo through arenas for decades to come, his image forever etched into rock's collective memory. Paul Stanley once said, "Kiss without Ace isn't really Kiss." Gene Simmons called him a brother in arms. And fans, millions of them, will tell you the same thing. There was only one Space Ace. So tonight, somewhere in the universe, maybe that guitar is still ringing out,